Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 17th of December and welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. Guys, in the today's video, we are going to discuss the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper. We'll take all the relevant articles, we'll simplify them, we'll see their background as how it can be utilized into the exam along with the way forward. That thing will also be taken up. Now, before starting up, I would like to tell you that if you are new here or if you are watching this video for the first time, you can download the synoptic notes of these articles. In the synoptic notes, we have taken the articles and we have simplified them, and some value addition has also been done. These synoptic notes can be downloaded from the Telegram channel. It also contains the editorials as well, and the link for the Telegram channel has been given in the description box in YouTube, or you can directly visit the Telegram and can search there by typing Thinking Palette by Sahil. You'll get the PDF of this particular notes. Now, before starting up, guys, I would like to briefly take the newspaper overview so that you can understand that which type of articles are actually relevant for the examination, which articles are just to be read in the headings, or what is the placement of the articles. So let's take the overview. Here we have the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper, and the first article that is there, Bilawal's comment on Modi uncivilized India. Okay, now guys, we are going to take one article in the editorial section where we'll see that in the UNSC, the Minister of External Affairs had convened a meeting on counter-terrorism. Okay, so we'll see that particular article. Then guys, moving on, to die in firing near army camp. Okay, now guys, these particular articles, okay, for example, Hooch toll rises to 30. Now these kind of articles, you don't need to track too much, but the policy or academic dimension which is there. For example, when we talk about the basically Hooch tragedy, people dying after consuming the spurious liquors, you don't need to see how many people died. Okay, we need to see that whether the prohibition that has been carried by some of the states, for example the Bihar, is the prohibition successful or not. Often when there is a complete ban, it gives impetus to the spurious liquor trade and people consume them and then they die. Okay, so this is something that you need to see. However, such a dimension here in this article, nothing is provided. One more thing is there, that understand guys, one more issue. Basically, one ethical dimension can also open up from this particular article. Why? Because the chief minister of Bihar had said that I don't have any sympathy for the people who have died after consuming the spurious liquor. No ex gratia compensation will be given and these people deserve to die. Such kind of statement has been given. Now a question comes that when we talk about our GS paper number 4, foundational value, there is one value of empathy that has been mentioned, empathy and compassion. So a question comes that such a statement coming from the chief minister, where it is said that I don't have any sympathy, is this a trait that the statesman should show? Such ethical dimensions also open up in this particular thing. Is it clear or not? Fine. Now, moving on, Kashi Tamil Samagam will unite the country, connect different languages, says Amit Shah. Okay. Now, guys, basically, you don't need to see the statement, but understand this thing. What is this Kashi Tamil Samagam? Kashi Tamil Samagam. It is a cultural exchange program between the Kashi, that is the north, and the Tamil Nadu, that is the south. So the students, the teachers from the south will travel to north, and from north they will travel to the south so that they can experience the culture. Is it clear or not? Fine. Then moving on. After that, guys, Delhi teacher hits students with scissors, pushes her off first floor. Okay. Now you don't need to track such kind of an articles for the examination, but guys, again one ethical angle again opens up when we talk about the role of the teachers. Teachers are the one who are responsible for teaching the desirable behavior. They are responsible for ethical inculcation. But nowadays such kind of things are happening which shows a visible moral and ethical decline in the present society. Then moving on, after that, in the city section, okay, the regional issues, political issues, etc., advertisements have been given. Not very much important for the examination. Okay, however, coming here, Wayanad Rice Festival promotes climate resilient crops. Okay, so now guys, understand this thing. You don't need to go too much in detail in these articles. That's why I am discussing basically the spirit of the article that's there. Now, what has happened? One of a organization, Kerala based organization by the name of Thanal, it has carried a conservation experiment where 300 climate resilient varieties of traditional rice have been planted on 1.5 acre of land. Now these details are not important, how much land, how many varieties, but what they are doing this particular experiment is to showcase the diversity of the rice that is there nowadays. The farmers, they have opted for the hybrid variety of rice which they think are more productive, and in that particular thing what has happened, traditional rice varieties which were climate resilient, it means that they can withstand the climate, they can withstand the temperature changes, moisture changes that are there, they are being ignored, which is not the right thing, because now as the climate change is happening, we need to conserve these particular crops. So they have planted them and they have showcased them. Is it clear? Then moving on, after that guys, Karnataka CM asked Congress leader to clarify if they favor terrorist, missing schoolgirl found dead in tank. Okay, not very much important. Satellite survey reports on buffer zone irks farmers. Now here we see that there is one important article that has come. 5 agriculture products of Kerala get GI tag. So the basically commodities, or basically the crops or items who were there into the GI crops, they have been asked into the exam. We'll see this thing in more detail. Election results and the dangers of false explanation. We'll see what this article is providing. Countering the terror. We'll see this particular article also with respect to the exam. A channel acquired and dilemmas for the stakeholders. We'll take this article and we'll see if that is relevant or not. Dangerous gamble. Turkey should use its geopolitics to advantage to crush the Syrian Kurds. Okay, so basically the geopolitical crisis going on has been discussed. Okay, but guys, understand this particular thing, that so let's say geopolitical crisis going on in some other country, other continent, only it is important if some directly India's interest is involved. Otherwise, so many countries, every country is having its own geopolitical challenges. You cannot track all of them, only where India interest is there. That is important for our exam. Okay, now today is Saturday, and on Saturday this ground zero report comes, and ground zero report, it talks about basically the issues from the personal accounts of the people is given here. Okay, then moving on, today the text and the context page is not there. Why? Because it is Saturday. Coordinated efforts on to curb the Chinese loan apps, says finance minister. Okay guys, in this particular article, basically what is being provided, see, in the past there are the Chinese loan apps which have given the loan to the people at very high and exorbitant interest rates, and then the recovery agents, they are harassing the people, and many people have committed suicides because of that particular thing. Now a thing comes that, first of all, how these apps became eligible to give the loan. Okay, only basically either a banking, okay, either an NBFC, non-banking financial corporation, or the banks are eligible to give certain conditional loans, but they did not have that particular license. So basically, to curb these Chinese loan apps, the government is taking the steps. This is something that has happened. Fine. Beyond this, nothing is important in this article. Linking of Aadhaar and electoral ID is voluntary. We'll see this particular article. Now guys, in this particular page, there are many of the one-liner article that has been there. Okay, just only here in the newspaper, you will read that. Beyond that, you don't need to go. Rajya Sabha sees adjournment, not important. Fine. NABARD officers on strike over the wages, not very much important. Supreme Court benches will be available during winter. No Supreme Court benches, not important for exam. Lok Sabha clears bill to add Himachal Hatti community in the ST list. So guys, a few days back we have discussed this particular article that the 4 of the tribals will be added. So Hatti community has been added into the ST list. Fine. 1.3 terabyte data encrypted and 5 servers affected in AIMS ransomware attack. So if you're following news analysis regularly, we have seen in detail this ransomware attack that was made onto the AIMS, and now to safeguard the data is being encrypted. Okay, so this much data is encrypted. You don't need to see too much into the detail. Okay, then further moving on, Supreme Court exists to protect the personal liberty and rights, says Chief Justice of India. So in one of a case that was going on where a person who had stolen some electricity and was in the jail for 18 years. So there the Chief Justice of India had said that Supreme Court exists to protect the fundamental rights, to protect the liberty of every citizen, and this is the most important role for which the Supreme Court exists. Now, this already we know, because in Lakshmikant very clearly it has been given that the Supreme Court is the protector of the fundamental rights. Is it clear? Now, China is expanding model villages in strategic areas. We'll see this particular article. Again, the Hooch tragedy. Okay. Then guys, PM emphasizes need for peace dialogue in the phone call with Putin. We'll see this particular article. 25-year-old puzzle solved by Indian student. We'll see this particular article. Veteran journalist Bill Carman passes away. Then Coming to the world page, Japan shakes up its defense policy, warns of China threat. So basically, when we talk about the China-Japan relations, there are also many of the confrontations, even particularly onto the island, okay, into the Pacific islands also there are the disputes. So Japan is expanding its defense capabilities in face of China. Russia fires missile barrage at Ukraine, right? Not important article, everyday issues that are coming into the Russia-Ukraine relation. Sri Lanka to probe death of businessman. Fine, simply will be moving up from here. Crude oil imports rose 52.6%. Now, guys, understand this thing that every other day you will find some monthly data or some bi-monthly data. It might be data of import, export, Sensex movement. It might be data of the current account deficit. Now, understand this thing. I have said you multiple number of times. Every month's data you don't need to see. Fine, just in few days, just in a month's time, the economic survey will come, and in the economic survey we'll see all the trends that have been there. So no need to track these particular things every day. Okay, fine. So this is something important articles have not been there. Hyundai will increase the prices, okay, and all such kind of things have been there. And then we have the sports page. So this is, guys, the overview of the entire newspaper, and only objective of showing you the overview is this, so that if you want to read a newspaper at your own, you develop an art as how to identify the articles, which type of articles are important, because many number of times we are endlessly scrolling the newspaper and wasting a lot of time there. Okay, now moving on, and let's discuss all these relevant articles one by one in the detail. Okay, so in every class, before starting, we take a GS quotation. This GS quotation can be used in your GS 1, 2, 3, 4 papers or in the essay to complement it. So today we'll take the quotation from the Albert Hubbard. Albert Hubbard says, responsibility is the price of freedom. And yes, very aptly given quotation. When we talk, we talk about freedom, fine, first of all, the Constitution of India or the democracy gives its citizens the freedom, but often our understanding on freedom is very vague. We assume freedom as simply a license to do anything. We think freedom as it is an absolute right that has been given, and we forget that with the freedom always responsibility that will be coming. Responsibility is the price for the freedom. So along with freedom, responsibility has to be exercised, otherwise freedom will not mean anything. We can use this quotation in GS paper number 2 as well as GS paper number 4 ethics. So that is all, guys, about this quotation. And now let's take the first article, and before moving on, I would like to wish a very good morning to all of you who had wished me good morning with the emojis of the rising sun or with the emojis of the teacup. A very good morning to all. I'll acknowledge Harsha, Hanamat, Akashdeep, Filoni, Pragati, Sharan, Ashish, Ganesh, page number, Surendra, Niharika, Anil, Vignesh, Mahesh Bhai, Inspiring, Priyanka, Dr. Santosh, Manoj Bhai, Matamai, Satapati, Drava, Bhagwati, Elamaniti, Anupam, Jess, Nitish, Shubdeep, Spurti, Harsh, Muthu, Kajal, SK, Songam, Santosh, Reje, Jesse, Santosh, Jarupala, Sahana, BSK Agri, Rajeshwari, Mukul, Sarita, Shripadi, Sharita, Pandi, Santosh. Good morning to all of you, and apologies. Good morning, Preeti Prabhu, Fazil, Vijay also. And if I have taken somebody's name wrong, please take my apologies for that thing also. Now, first article, and a very important. 5 agricultural products of Kerala get GI tag, taking the toll count to 17. Okay, now we don't need to exactly track that how many of the crops in every state have the GI tag. Okay, but we need to see the new crops which have got the GI tag. Now we'll take this particular article. It will be important for the prelims examination. It will be important for the prelims examination because directly the questions from GI tags have been asked, and multiple number of times, in fact, the questions have been asked. Now, before moving on, guys, first of all, let's understand that what do we understand by the GI tag. So GI stands for the geographical indication. Now, guys, because of the climatic factors, because of a particular type of soil that is found in a particular region, they support the particular kind of crops. Okay, they support particular kind of crops. Sometimes, guys, particular kind of practices are supported in particular region. Because of that, a unique product that is grown, they are given a kind of a unique acknowledgement, they are given a unique recognition, and that unique recognition is called as the geographical indication tag. For example, guys, the tree Darjeeling tea has been given a GI tag. So only the tea that is growing around the region of Darjeeling can be sold as Darjeeling tea. Now that particular thing will give distinct marketability to that particular product. That particular thing will increase will increase the marketability into the international markets. Okay, so the GI tags are given. Now guys, when we talk about the GI tags, okay, now the GI tags are given under the GI Act of 1999. They are given under the GI Act of 1999. So this is particular act, and these particular tags are issued by the GI registry, geographical indication registry. Now this GI industry is under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. It is the Ministry of particularly if we talk about the department, it is under the Department of Industry, Promotion and Internal Trade. Department of Industry, Promotion and Internal Trade, DPIIT. Okay, so I hope that it is clear, your understanding. So Geographical Indication Act 1999, this is a law. Under this particular law, we have geographical indication of goods. Okay, sorry, we have the Geographical Indication Registry, GIR, Geographical Indication Registry, and this Geographical Indication Registry is under the DPIIT, that is the Department of Industry, Promotion and Internal Trade, and this DPIIT is under the Ministry of Commerce and under the Ministry of Commerce. It is under the Ministry of Commerce. Okay, so basically GIR gives the GI tag under the GI Act. Okay, now the 5 new crops from the Kerala had got the GI tag. Okay, so basically guys, what are these crops? First of all, just formally I have given here in the article also that the unique features of the product imparted by the agroclimatic conditions of a particular geographical area of their production are the basis of getting the GI tag. Okay, so the 5 crops have been given. Number one is Atapadi. Just a minute. Yes, the first crop is the Atapadi Atamkobu Avara. Now this is a variety of the beans. This is the variety of the beans, and this particular variety of beans looks like a goat's horn, and it has and because of its appearance, it looks like the goat's horns. It has been given its particular name, and this particular bean variety, it has higher and it has have a higher anthocyanin content, and because of this higher anthocyanin content, it gets a unique purple kind of color, and because of that particular that unique color, unique texture, it has been given a specific recognition. Okay, then the next is Atapadi Thuvara. Now this is a variety of the red gram, and this gram, it is red gram, but it has the seeds with a white coat color. Okay, and they have higher seed weights, they are the bigger kind of grams, and they are highly nutritious, and because of its nutritional quality, it has also been given the GI tag. I'll show their photographs also in the last, don't worry. Then next is the Onataru Elu. So it is a variety of sesame, and from this variety of sesame, the oil that is extracted, it is very famous for its high antioxidant content. And guys, the oils or any antioxidant contents, they play a very important role in fighting the free radicals that are created in our body because and many such other kind of physiological exercises. So the free radicals are tamed by these antioxidants, and this Onataru Elu had oil had high antioxidants. Then the next is the Konthalar Ventavadu Veluthli. Now it is a garlic. Now this is a region, and in this particular region the garlic is grown. Now this particular garlic, it contains higher amount of sulfites, flavonoids and proteins. Okay, so because of that particular thing, it has been given the GI tag. And the last one is the Kondugalur Potuvillari. Now this is a kind of a melon. Okay, we have a musk melon and all such kind of a melon. So this is a kind of a melon, and this melon is consumed as a juice as well as in other forms is also consumed, and it is harvested in summer and is excellent for quenching the thirst. And with addition of these 5 more variety of crops, there are the 17 agricultural products of the Kerala that had been given the GI tag. Okay, now guys, you can see the photographs also here. Just a minute. Okay, so we have seen, we can see the Ontaru Elu here in the first photograph. We have seen it is a kind of a sesame from which the oil will be extracted. Okay, so if you remember the third one, Ontanaru Elu, fine, sesame. So this is the first one. Then the next is the Kondugalur Potulavari, fine, the second one. And then the third one is Athapadi Atokambulu Avara, the third one. Okay, and then the fourth one is the Atrapadi, the garlic that we have discussed, and this is the Veluthali, the melons that we have discussed. Okay, so this is the name, and guys, the names are different, if difficult, sorry, if you are from North India or the other parts of the India. If you are not from Kerala, you might find it difficulty, but just keep in mind a little bit idea if you can. Moreover, I might have pronounced some of the names wrong also. So if you are from Kerala and if you find my pronunciations were wrong, apologies for that thing also. Now moving on. Now, countering terror, countering terror. Now, this particular article, guys, it's talk about the recent address that India Minister of External Affairs have made in the United Nations Security Council meeting on the fighting terrorism. Now, before going in this particular article, guys, this article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, India's role in countering the terrorism in international bodies, particularly India's role in the United Nations Security Council. Now, before going in this particular article, little bit thing I wanted to tell you guys is that right now India is serving as the non-permanent member in the United Nations Security Council. United Nations Security Council is a principal organ in the under the United Nations, and it is responsible for ensuring the peace. Under the United Nations Security Council, there are the 15 members, 5 are permanent member and 10 are non-permanent member. India right now is serving as the non-permanent member in United Nations Security Council, and for the month of December, India is president for United Nations Security Council, and India's presidency will come to end in December. Now, as India is serving as a non-permanent member, India had played a very important role in keeping forward the agenda of counter-terrorism. Many conferences have also been taken in this particular direction. We have discussed these conferences also. For example, No Money for Terror conference was held. Okay, that conference on dual use of technology was held. Today also we'll see their names. Now, what has happened? So just recently, the Minister of External Affairs under the United Nations Security Council has convened the global counter-terrorism approach. Now, this global counter-terrorism approach was the meeting that was convened by India. And in this, India has raised forward that there is a need for the global war on terrorism. Right now, when we talk about this thing, guys, entire world is over occupied with Russia-Ukraine war, which is a very important thing. But in that thing, we are ignoring the terrorism, particularly right now as the USA had pulled from the Afghanistan. Taliban has become powerful, and it has been seen into the past that the Taliban and Al-Qaeda has very strong links, and because of that particular thing, Afghanistan might become a breeding ground for terrorism, but the countries are not concerned on that thing. So basically right now, the sanctions regime, the sanctions which were imposed onto the terrorist organizations, okay, that is not very proper, okay, and the terrorism architecture is not in very good place. So therefore, the Minister of External Affairs had identified that there are 4 hurdles, 4 problems for better counter-terrorism cooperation. Now, what are these 4 hurdles? Number 1, state support for financing terror. Now, guys, understand this thing. The countries such as the Pakistan, they have used terrorism as a convenient tool to do those things which they cannot do directly. And for that thing, they are financing the terrorism also. Terrorist organizations, they are being financed. They are being financed with money. They are being financed with ideology. They are being provided also the weapons, etc. So, there is a state support. This is one very big problem. Many states do that particular thing. Then next is, just a minute. Then the next is multilateral mechanisms that are opaque and agenda driven. Many of multilateral organizations, they have an agenda, but many number of times they are, in order to achieve that particular agenda, are supporting certain terrorist outfits also. So these multilateral organizations is a very big problem. Then third is the double standards and politicization of counter-terrorism according to where terrorist group belongs. Now see this thing. Pakistan had divided terrorist as good terrorist and bad terrorist. depending on the location where they are originating. Many of the terrorist organizations outfits that are from X country, they say that okay, they are acceptable, others are not acceptable. But no, terrorism is a terrorism. All types of terrorism is bad. And even India had said that we can never make a distinction between a good or bad terrorism. But many of the countries, they are having the double standards and they are politicizing this particular matter. Okay, moreover, and when we talk about the politicization here, the China also comes in between. Basically, multiple number of times India has raised the matter that certain terrorist and terrorist organizations need to be declared as the international terrorist of concerns, and on them the sanctions should be imposed as per the 1267 sanctions committee of UNSC. But China had blocked their names. So politicization of terrorism is being done. Now why China has blocked the name? Because the proposal was floated by India and USA. And India and USA is the China's adversary. China sees them as adversary. And secondly, the terrorist outfits and the terrorists that India and USA wanted that on them the sanctions should be imposed, they are stationed in Pakistan. So that the Pakistan should not get irritated, China blocked that particular attempt. So we find that politicization is happening. And then there is the next frontier. Basically, there is the use of emerging technology such as the drones, virtual currency by the terrorist. Even few days back, the Minister of Home Affairs said that today's terrorists have become very sensitive. They are using from AK-47 to metaverse, everything they are using. The technologies, the drones, for example, they are being used for drug delivery. Okay, virtual currency, cryptocurrencies are being used for their ulterior motives. So therefore, these emerging technologies should also be tamed as how they don't become a kind of a tool in the hands of terrorism. This is something that are to be seen. These are the four problems, and guys, please note down these four problems of counter terrorism in your notebook. If any question comes, please do write them. You'll get very good marks. Then further moving on. Now, what are India's observation at United Nations Security Council? Very important. Number one, India has noted this particular thing that USA has exited from Afghanistan in a very hasty manner in 2021, and in that particular thing, neither it deployed the counter-terrorism matter there. Number one. Moreover, what had happened, basically, when the USA exited from Afghanistan, directly they started negotiations with Taliban. And what they have done, they have made Taliban as a equivalent party. By that particular thing, Taliban got the legitimacy, and by this particular thing, the terrorist organizations had got emboldened. In the past, there were many sanctions that were imposed on Taliban as well as the organizations which were linked with the Taliban. But Taliban said that if you want to talk with us, remove the sanctions. Okay, and what happened? Those sanctions got removed, the Taliban got a legitimacy, and this is something which is very wrong thing that had happened. Okay, so basically, they now got the power in the Kabul, and they are letting their handlers in Pakistan off the hook. Okay, then the P5 country China, it continues to block the designations of Pakistan-based terrorists and Pakistan-based groups. Fine, particularly LAT and JM. Okay, to designate them as a international organization and to impose sanctions on them under the 1267 committee, the China blocks their name, which is wrong. Then next thing is there that basically what is happening. Moreover, India, now guys, India is a very ethical country in terms of that. Basically, see this thing, since 1996, India is proposing CCIT, Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism. Again, I'll repeat, CCIT, Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism. Now, if I tell you, we don't have any one treaty which deals with all the aspects of terrorism. We have 13 sectoral conventions which are dealing with the dimensions of terrorism in bits and pieces, but one complete comprehensive convention we don't have. And since 1996, India is saying that let's get it passed. But what is happening? Up till now, the definition of terrorism has not been finalized. And do you think that, see, why there is a problem in identifying the definition of terrorism? Because a person or a organization which is a terrorist as per some countries, that organization might be called as the freedom fighters in the country in which they are operating. That can happen. Because of that thing, the definition of terrorism has not been finalized. But beyond that, vested agendas are also there. Deliberately, the countries did not want that the CCIT should get finalized, because I told you guys that many states are sponsoring terrorism. Terrorism is a tool for them. If the terrorism will be controlled, what happened? That convenient tool will be lost. So that is the issue that has happened. So basically, since 1996, India is proposing comprehensive convention on international terrorism to institute the global practices, but up till now it has not happened. Moreover, guys, now the P5 are polarized. Within the P5, China, Russia, USA, there are a lot of divisions on that, and it is not even expected that now that particular thing will be taken up. Then next thing is that, guys, basically, now what has happened basically in the last few months, or in fact the weeks, fine, basically India had played a very important role in the United Nations Security Councils. India had led up many of the conventions. For example, now you see this thing, UN Counter Terrorism Committee was convened, no money for a terror conference was convened, Interpol conference was convened, and now we see this particular thing, global counter terrorism approach, it has been convened. So one just a minute. 2, that is the UNSC Counter-Terrorism Committee. 3, No Money for Terror Conference. And 4, Interpol Conference. All these initiatives have been convened under the India's membership at the UNSC. So all these particular things shows that how India had played a very important role in bringing forth the negotiations against the terrorism. So this is something very important, and as India's membership will over by December, you should know, because on such kind of a line a question can be asked. However, guys, in the last, what happened between the India and the Pakistan, the talks got broken also. Why? Because outrightly the Pakistan's foreign minister made certain ungraceful comments on the Prime Minister of India, which is not very diplomatic, which is not good. And because of that particular thing, there was a heated exchange also that happened between the India and Pakistan there. Okay, so that is all, guys, about it. And now we'll be moving to the next article. Linking of Aadhaar and electoral ID is voluntary, says Rijiju. Okay, so guys, what is this article? Article doesn't contain much of a substance, but you need to know that what the context of this article is. By the way, if you are following newspaper analysis regularly, fine, few months back, we have discussed the Election Law Amendment Act of 2021. We have seen it, many criticisms came, many articles also came on this particular line. Now, understand this particular thing, guys. What is this Election Law Amendment Act of 2021? This particular act provides that all the prospective voters, means the people who will turn 18 years and they will get their new voter ID card, and all the existing voters, it means that the people who are already having their voter ID cards, they need to link their voter ID card with the Aadhaar. So Aadhaar voter ID card is to be linked as per the provision of the Election Law Amendment Act of 2021. Now, guys, it has been criticized. It has been criticized. It is being said that why you want to link the electoral voting card. Okay, we call, by the way, it as EPIC. We call it as EPIC. Why we call the election voting card as EPIC? Because the full form is, just a minute, election photo identity card. Election photo identity card. So the EPIC, election photo identity card, and the Aadhaar, they are to be linked. It has been said that it will lead to profiling of the citizens. The Aadhaar contains all of the information. Now, guys, you see this particular thing. You see this particular thing, that on the basis of Aadhaar, we can, now Aadhaar is required to avail many of the government schemes, to avail many of the government benefit, government subsidies, etc. And basically, which family is getting which kind of a scheme, that particular information can be availed by the Aadhaar. Okay, and on that particular basis, when the election card is linked with that, the profiling of citizens can be made. The ruling party can make a campaign and they can specifically reach to the houses and can say that, okay, you are receiving these kind of facilities. If you don't vote, you might not get that. So what will happen? The profiling of the citizens can happen. This was a criticism, and it was said that it should not be carried. Now, what has happened? The question has been asked from the law minister in the parliament, and it is being said, it is being asked that is it compulsory that such linking between Aadhaar and electoral photo ID card is to be done? So law minister had said that it is a voluntary exercise. It is not compulsory. Okay, who don't link their Aadhaar with the EPIC will not be struck from the voter list. They will continue. But the practical problem comes in between. The people, many a time they are ignorant, many a times they don't know the complete laws. And what happened, simply if they will be ordered that they have to link, they don't know that they can deny as well. Okay, and the linking will happen. Moreover, it has also been provided that all the information, all the data that will be generated, the Aadhaar data particularly, the election commission will not store that particular Aadhaar number, Aadhaar data. Fine, the number is only used for authentication, and that particular information cannot be retrieved. It will stay in the UIDAI. Okay, UIDAI Aadhaar data basis. So that is all about this particular article. Now we'll move to the next article. Election results and the dangers of false explanation. Okay, guys, understand this thing, that this particular article is a little bit different article that usually come in the newspaper. And if you have read the article is a little bit on a difficult side as what it is talking about, little bit on difficult side. But we'll understand and we'll simplify this particular article with respect to the electoral trends. GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2, electoral trends. We'll see this particular article. Now, before going in this article, guys, I will like to give you a little bit of a background so that you can understand this in a better way. So recently we have seen that a bridge collapse happened in Morbi. And after the Morbi bridge collapse, we found that a lot of politicization happened of that issue. That was an unfortunate event where so many people died, so many people got injured. Okay. Now the article is saying that just after the Morbi bridge collapse, just 1 month later, there were the Gujarat election. There were the Gujarat election. And when this bridge collapse happened, it was found that under the BJP government that accident happened. Even the contractor that was given the contract, they were found to have some links with the government. And it was speculated that, okay, it is a very bad publicity for the BJP government that has happened just 1 month before the election. This Morbi bridge collapse was said as something like that. Now, guys, it is being found that in the election, actually, 50,000 more people, it was said that 50,000 more people voted for the BJP compared to 2017 election or 2020 by-election. So whatever support was there into 2017, support actually increased. 50,000 more people voted. Now the people are confused. They don't understand that why this thing happened. It was called as a bad publicity, but no, it did not work. Now this particular example is being used that, see, many number of times the political pundits, political commentators, they say that they make the relations. I'll just give you a small analogy. Now it is being said that if a political party makes a promise or carries out a specific campaign X for an election, and if that party wins the election, it is said that it is because of X that the party won the election Y. What it is, let's take a very simple example. Suppose there is XYZ political party, and XYZ political party said that if we came to the power, we will waive off the farm loans. Okay, farm loans will be waived off. Okay, they said that we will waive off all the farm loans. Now let's say that the XYZ political party won. Now the political pundits will say that the XYZ political party won because they said that the farm loans will be waived. Because of this reason, they won. Okay, it is said. Now it is a very simple relation actually. Many number of times it cannot be true, because if this causation is always true, then in the Morbi also it has to be true. Now the Morbi bridge collapse happened. Because of that Morbi bridge collapse, many people died. Because of that, people were angry, and because of that, the people should not vote for BJP. If the cause and effect is that simple. Okay, but this thing did not happen. Rather, BJP got more vote. So the process of cause and effect is not that very simple. To know the exact process of the cause and effect, we need to do more deeper studies. Okay, now here the article is saying that X led to Y, X promise led to Y, that is the victory. This rationale seems absurd in the case of the collapse of Morbi bridge. Okay, because opposite happened there. So therefore it has been provided that it is illogical in this case that the two events were linked, because the bridge collapse, it is being called that it is a misgovernance of the party. Okay, because of the misgovernance they should not get the vote, but they got. So such relations are not very simple to make. it has been provided a reference of a popular philosopher, that is the Karl Popper has been given. Karl Popper says that unless a theory can pass the test of falsibility, it cannot be regarded as the absolute test. It has been said, for example, a very simple example has been given. Fine, we say all swans are white. All swans are white. This is one side. But at the same time, it will not mean that there is not even a single swan black. Okay, if you need to show that all swans are white, you need to show white swans, and you also need to prove that not even a single black swan exists. So fine, on both the sides the theory is to be predicted. Here the example of economist Abhijit Banerjee, Esther Duflo and Michael Kramer has been given. Now these three had won the Nobel Prize in economics, and they have developed a methodology, and the name of this particular methodology is randomized control trials, RCT. This randomized control trials they provide. Now what they do, they had carried they sorry what they have done, they had prepared many of the experiments. They have prepared many of the experiments on whose basis they can actually predict that whether X led to Y or not, whether X led to Y. So what they have done, they have prepared this randomized control trials which designs experiments to conclusively infer that X led to Y in policy experiments. For example, suppose a political party provided midday meal. By that midday meal, the children's health improved and people voted that particular political party. If there is a logical relation between that or not, that particular thing is verified by the experiments, and these experiments are called as the randomized control trials. Okay, so this is something. Now it has been provided that on the basis of the randomized control trials, such kind of a links are needed to be understood. Just very generalistic kind of speculations should not be made. So this is the spirit of this entire article that has come. So guys, I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll move to the next article. A channel acquired and dilemmas for the stakeholder. Now this particular article, guys, is talking that recently the Adani group, they have become the majority shareholder in NDTV, that is the New Delhi Television. Okay, now it has been said that in India there are approximately 400 news channels that are there, and out of those 400 news channels, the NDTV had a kind of a distinct credibility, and it has now been acquired by the Gautam Adanis. Okay, so what are their future plans, what they are trying to do by that particular thing? Okay, all these particular kind of things are being discussed. Now basically, guys, in this article just only one idea is there. It has been said that the Adani's view on the free media is something like this. Adani's view onto the free media is something like this, that it is something like this, that see, if the government is doing something wrong, that is needed to be provided to the people. Okay, but at the same time, if the government is doing something correct, that also is to be provided to the people. Media should not show only the bad side of the government. Media should also show the good side of the government. So in a way, it is being said that the media should also be the advertisers of the government. This is something, just one line idea that is there. Beyond that, okay, Financial Times, Al Jazeera, what they have the plans for that, etc., not important for our examination. So fine, moving to next article. PM emphasizes the need for peace dialogue in phone call with Putin. So basically, guys, what has happened? The Prime Minister had a telephonic conversation with the Russian President Vladimir Putin, and on that particular thing, it has been discussed that why the peace and diplomacy should be the solution in Russia-Ukraine problem. Now understand this thing. In the past, multiple number of times the India had raised this particular thing, that the peace is the only way out of the Russia-Ukraine crisis. Moreover, Prime Minister had said multiple number of times that the present era is not of the war. In the SCO meet, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO meet that was held recently, there also the Prime Minister had asked the Indian Prime Minister has asked the Russian President that the war should come to an end. Okay, now moving on. So basically, it has been provided that following on their meeting in Samarkand, that is the SCO meet, the two leaders reviewed several aspects, fine, of the bilateral relations. For example, in the past, they have discussed the energy cooperation, trade and investment, defense, security cooperation. Fine, all these particular things have been discussed. Along with that, the Russia Ukraine crisis should be resolved. That particular thing has been discussed, and the same thing has now happened on the telephonic conversation also, that has happened. So here, if we see this particular thing, guys, that India Russia relationships have come a lot in the limelight, because what is happening, on one hand, sanctions are being imposed on the Russia by the West, but the India's trade relation is increasing. Number one, Russia has become the topmost supplier of energy to India. We are importing, sorry, a lot of oil from them. Secondly, guys, what is happening? S-400 defense system, we are also procuring that from Russia. Even with the Russia, we are doing the trade in rupee ruble arrangement has also been signed. So India Russia relations got a lot of attention because the world is imposing the sanctions, but India's relation is thriving. This is something that has happened. Now the cooperation is expected even into the coming months. So these basic kind of a things, hi hello, have happened on the telephonic call. Now moving to the next article. Okay, before that, sir, previous article, what actually author is trying to say, please summarize if possible. Okay, so meanwhile, I think you are talking about this particular article. Okay, see, this article is giving only one message in one line, if I want to say, that the cause and effect relation is not very simple. Okay, cause and effect relation is very complex, and that complexity is to be well understood. If a political party campaigns X thing and then they win the election, it is said that they win the election because they promised this. No, that is not the only thing. Beyond that, there are other reasons also that are at the play, and that those reasons are to be understood. Okay, so this is about what it is talking about, and here there was the analogy of the Morbi that was given. Now, 25-year-old puzzle solved by the Indian student. Okay, now guys, what is this entire issue all about? Okay, now first of all, direct question on this particular kind of a thing will not be coming. Okay, but just as a general awareness, you should know, for exam it will not for exam it will have a limited application. I'll tell that also. So basically, one of a student by the name of Rishi Raj Popat, fine, who is right now pursuing the PhD in the University of Cambridge. He has recently published a thesis, and he had proved that he has solved a 2500-year-old grammatical puzzle. Now this is a puzzle in the Sanskrit grammar that is there. So basically, when we talk about, guys, the Sanskrit's grammar, the father of Sanskrit's grammar is Panini. He is known as the father of linguistics. So fine. Now, when we talk about the Sanskrit, there was one particular problem that was there into the Sanskrit, which has not been resolved since 5th century. Okay, now what has happened, he said this thing, that I was solving this particular grammatical problem in Sanskrit from last 9 months. Okay, I was not able to crack this problem. Then I quit that particular thing. I went for a summer holiday. I did swimming, cycling, cooking, praying, meditating. Then I came back, I saw that particular problem, and within few minutes I resolved that particular problem. Is it clear or not? So this is something that he had said. So this 2500 year, now you don't need to go and see that what that puzzle was. Okay, you don't need to solve that. So 2500 puzzle into the Sanskrit has been resolved by the Rishi Raj Popat. Okay, now that is the grammatical problem in the Sanskrit. Now, by this particular thing, what will happen? By this particular thing, guys, it is revolutionary. Why? Because now Sanskrit grammar can be taught to the computers for the first times. Okay, after this particular thing, and because of this, it has become possible. So this is, guys, all about this particular article. Beyond that, you don't need to go and you don't need to see anything beyond that. Now, moving to the next. China is expanding model villages in the strategic areas. Okay. Now, basically, guys, if you see what has happened into the past, certain developments have happened. Number one, there are the reports that are coming that the China is developing the model villages around the Uttarakhand, Arunachal Pradesh, virtually are throughout the LAC. The China is building these particular border villages. Number two, there was a clashes that happened into the Tawang sector in the Arunachal Pradesh between the India and the China. So we see that the China's confrontationist approach in these particular kind of an examples. Now see this particular thing. One thing, guys, I am telling you, Basically, in this particular article, there are the many of the places or the villages name that has been given around which those particular many places on the LAC around which the China's villages have been constructed. Now you see this particular thing. There will be the many compilations, many of the videos that will be there, which will be telling you pinpointed location. Okay. Now, are they very important for the examination? For general viewpoint, if you want to read, you can. But for examination, do you need to remember all the name of the villages? No. The places of the villages? No. Is it clear or not? Now, so basically what is happening, China is expanding the chain of the model villages. Now these model villages are called as the Shiokang. Shiokang means moderately prosperous. Now these particular villages are being developed along the line of actual control opposite the Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Chumbi Valley region, strategic Siliguri corridor, okay, the Chicken Neck corridor, okay. Now it has been provided that at the same time China is also enhancing its infrastructure, it's enhancing its deployments, military weaponry deployments around the LAC region, okay. So this is something that the China is doing. Now in the place, okay, the points, okay, 36 dwellings have been developed 52 kilometer from the LAC. These kind of 628 villages have been established along the LAC. These numbers etc that have been given, no usage will be there of such numbers, data in the exam, and secondly you will not be able to remember that particular thing by the time your exam will come. So always understand what things we need to actually put our effort and what things we don't need to put our efforts in. Moving to now the mains practice question for today. So mains practice question says that as per the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change IPCC report, climate change will have economy-wide repercussions in India if not mitigated, and could lead to shrinking of the agriculture cover in the country. In this context, discuss the significance of the climate resilient variety crops. Climate resilient variety crops. Okay. So this will be a 10 marker question for the GS paper number 3. Okay. So that is all guys for the today. With this we come to an end, and now we'll meet on the Monday. Till then, please take care of yourselves guys, and I hope that you have understood this discussion, and I hope that you are liking the initiative. I hope that you are getting the worth of the time that you are spending here. If you have found it is useful, so you can like the video, you can leave your lovely comments, because it takes a lot of effort to make the video, to prepare the notes. So please leave a like if you have genuinely liked it, and please do leave your comments. They are very important to boost our morals. So that is all for today. Sonam says, sir, please visit Manipur. Sure dear, I'll try to visit there also if we get an opportunity.